It looked like two saucers, I would call it, one on top of the other, inverted, probably 25 to 30 feet in diameter.
In terms of something known, what kind of metal would it look like?
Well, it would look like a brushed aluminum. I'm sure it probably wasn't that. I say that because I noticed no scratch marks. And anything that would penetrate into the sand 20 inches that way would certainly have some scratch marks.
No signs of buckling, fracture, or anything?
Not that I could see. I accepted it was probably some United States government vehicle, a highly classified vehicle. In fact, we were told that that's what it was. Interestingly enough, one of the questions I needed to know was what the mass of the vehicle was. I can tell a lot of things from the penetration into the desert sand and so forth, but I needed to know the mass. And they told me that they weren't going to let me know that. They perhaps didn't even know themselves. There was also a tent, which I didn't get to look into, but one fellow whom I did happen to talk with briefly until they told us to stop talking, said that he had seen two bodies inside this tent, two alien-looking bodies. It was brown, leathery skin, had a silver, like a cap on, without a bill.
Like a skull cap?
Yes, like a skull cap. I realized what this really started to mean, but I also at the same time realized probably why the government was keeping it classified. There are a lot of things that could be changed by our culture or religions. There are a lot of things that could be affected by the release of information like that at that particular time.
Like many other UFO stories, this also concludes with the recovered craft taken to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Cameras are normally prohibited there, but In Search Of was allowed to photograph certain declassified areas. We found there actually are huge freezing chambers inside the legendary Hangar 18.
The only knowledge I have of little green men, Martians, or whatever would be from the articles I've read of some of the published novels like Frank Scully's book and things like that.
Don Ritter, building's manager since 1942, claims the giant freezing cells were never used for storage of alien bodies.
Building 18 at Wright-Patterson was used primarily for cold soak engine testing, and we had 4 cells in this facility that we would take down to minus 65 degrees Fahrenheit, soak the engine for some period of time, and make the engine starts to test components, engines, and whatever for cold starts.
My major criticism is that from way back in the 1947s, there should have been a gradual information release and have the public accustomed to what UFOs are, what we're trying to do about them, and instead they've covered up so long that to admit that they've covered it up, it's almost like another Watergate. Plus the fact, I think they don't have the answers, and if they admitted even what they knew, people would want to know more answers. They don't have the answers to give them. I'm sure they don't have the answers to give them.
Based on my own personal and professional experiences, for the last 26 years of wearing this blue suit, and most of that I've been in the public affairs business where I'm responsible for releasing information to the public. I can assure you on behalf of the Air Force that there's just no truth to that at all.
Inside the freezing chambers of Hangar 18, we've examined one small clue in the mystery of the UFO cover-up. Whether it proves fact or fiction, this search for flying saucers has already profoundly influenced our perception of our place in the universe. Colonel Robert Friend, former head of Project Blue Book.
I believe that speculation and a scientific approach to it can't live together. I would feel that there were, in lots of instances, cases that had potential scientific pay dirt that possibly should have been pursued further. And in that regard, yes, I think that some of the cases had a lot of promise.
The Roswell case and the strange story of the man known as Fritz are two dramatic examples of close encounters of the fourth kind. Like the 68,000 reports on record of UFO sightings, they exist in a limbo, halfway between science and speculation.